What's going on, guys? So I'm on my way to the gym right now to hit workout B. So it's actually Sunday right now. So I took a couple extra rest days than I usually would have, just because I was not feeling recovered enough to hit it on the usual day I would have hit it, which would have been like Friday. So I pushed it a couple days forward, so I'm hitting it on Sunday. I appreciate all the feedback, all the positive feedback you guys have been giving me for these vlogs. You guys seem to enjoy them, and I'm glad you guys enjoy them because I really enjoy making them for you as well. And it's very practical for me to do this because it's like stuff that I'm already doing, and I'm kind of just documenting and showing you guys my process and stuff. So yeah, these are really enjoyable for me to make, and you guys seem to get value from them. So I'm gonna keep doing them for you. So I wanted to talk to you guys about a couple different topics, and that's kind of gonna be the kind of structure of these videos. So like I'm gonna film myself kind of driving to the gym for you guys and answer a couple of questions that keep coming up from you guys, so I can kind of clear some concerns, talk about different things while I'm driving, and then I'll obviously show you guys the workout itself. So the first question I've been getting a lot recently is, what's up with this new training style that you're doing? Because you guys know, like, you know, I've been a big proponent of doing like a heavy top set followed by a lighter back off set. So for two really effective sets. And I still really enjoy that training style. However, right now I'm messing around with some more straight sets. So the whole reason why I initially started straight sets, and obviously I've always been a fan of straight sets. I always used to do kind of the top set, back off set for the main work on the big compound lifts. But recently I've been doing the straight sets. Basically I'm doing like 2 straight sets of like 6 to 8 reps followed by 1 lighter set. And I really enjoy it. But what I want you guys to understand is that like when I make these little changes, it's not necessarily because I've completely like changed my mind and changed my approach and stuff like that. It's because pretty much in each workout cycle, I like to test something different. So I like to test a couple of things. So for example, in this training cycle that I'm doing, I'm testing this new training style. And if you guys hadn't noticed, I'm also not training with a belt. So I'm experimenting with some beltless training because I like to kind of test against things sometimes, you know what I mean? I don't like to stay kind of like really dogmatic. Obviously the main principles will always remain the main principles, but sometimes the tactics, you know, the tactics can change, right? And it's really like people get too caught up in the tactics and they think that the tactics are the most important thing. But ultimately, if you're hitting on the key principles, if you're focusing on strength progression, you're focusing on training big basic compound movements, you're focusing on getting stronger at them over time, using proper technique, all these little fundamentals, like as long as that stuff is in place, the tactics you use are not really going to matter that much, right? People get way too caught up in them. So right now I'm just messing around with that training style. And as I was saying, the whole reason why I initially started them is because if you guys remember, I got injured when I was traveling, right? I was traveling in Europe, and I was experiencing some pain in my lower back. I experienced a lower back tweak, and I started really going into depth on thinking through why that injury came and why I have gotten many injuries over the years. And what I realized was that I was adding weight to the bar too quickly. I was focused on progressing way too fast. And of course, strength progression is the key. It's the bottom line of drug-free physique building. You have to be striving for that strength gain. Nothing else matters that much compared to that. That's like the bottom line. That's what you need to be focused on at all times. It's the strength progression on the main compound lifts that you're prioritizing, that you're focusing on, right? However, sometimes it's easy to get too caught up in that. And what I found with that top set, back off set style was that sometimes I was going way too heavy on that top set. Way heavier than I should have been going. It's because I got caught up in that mindset of like these sets have to be really intense to failure, and it's kind of risky for me to talk about things like training cycling, which I'm going to cover in the next question that I got. It's risky for me to talk about cycling training intensity and, like, you know, some workouts not going quite as hard and other workouts going balls to the wall, because the truth is that most people don't train hard enough. So when I talk about cycling your training and making sure you're not training too hard, it's risky for me to say because a lot of people aren't training hard enough to begin with, but there are the few exceptions of people who train too hard and actually destroy their ability to recuperate between workouts and have any sort of regular workout frequency where they're, you know, producing regular bouts of stimulation in their training. And so it's hard for me to kind of say like whether you're training too hard, whether you're not training hard enough. But the truth is that I was training too hard and I was focused on like gaining strength way too quickly. And the thing I like about straight sets is that each set is not quite as hard as the top set, back off set style. So it's still an effective form of training, but you're not going as balls to the wall as you would with like a top set, back off set style where, you know, both sets you're training pretty much to failure and you're training with quite heavy weight. So that's why I've been doing the straight sets. And as I said, I'm just experimenting against it. You know, sometimes I like to do like different styles of training for different exercises in my program. So for example, like one exercise I might do straight sets, the other one I might do like a top set, back off set. And then, you know, I like to mix it up a little bit, you know. There's no harm in doing that. As long as you guys are sticking with the same exercises for a long time and milking them drive gains, then you can make those little changes from cycle to cycle. You can vary the set rep format. You can vary the progression style. You can vary the training style. Things like that, you know what I mean? That's not a huge deal. But the other question I got is, how long should a training cycle last? And so that kind of carries over from the last question, because I introduced this concept of cycling your training intensity, whereby instead of just going balls to the wall at the beginning of a training cycle, you basically start light, and then you slowly build your way back up over time to where you're actually, you know, you take a few weeks to just build your way up to an intense weight. And then you go hard in every workout. Because a lot of times if you try and go too intense in every single workout, you quickly hit a wall. Or you get injured, right? And that's where I introduced this concept of cycling your training, because I got injured and I realized I was training too hard. I was training, like I was adding weight to the bar too quickly. I was trying to progress too quickly, and training cycling basically takes care of that for you, whereby in the first like 3-4 weeks, you're starting beneath what you would actually do if you were training balls to the wall. You'd start lighter, and you'd build up momentum to where once you reach the gaining phase, which is where you want to, you know, push as hard as possible and gain strength consistently. Once you reach that phase, you'll have created momentum for you to make very consistent progress. Whereas if you just jumped straight into your best working set poundages at the beginning of a training cycle, you'd quickly hit a wall, and you wouldn't milk your cycle very long. It wouldn't last very long before you'd have to reset it. Someone asked me, like, how long should it last? And the training cycle will last basically as long as your gaining phase lasts. So the first 2 stages of the training cycle are very much set in stone. So like the first phase is where you're starting beneath your previous working set poundages. You're starting like, you know, 10 to 15% lighter, and then you're building your way back up, and then you should build your way back up basically to around 95% of your previous working set weights within the first 3 weeks. And then you take another couple weeks to slowly inch your way back up to your actual previous working set poundages. And then you've reached the gaining phase where you want to now enter the new poundage territory and just consistently add weight, right? And that's essentially how it goes. And the longer your training cycle lasts, the better. Ideally, our training cycles would last very long. They'd be extremely long. So we could just milk our exercises, drive progress. We could just continue making progress. But it doesn't work like that. You're going to reach a point where you've kind of exhausted your ability to milk your exercises, drive gains in a cycle. Because, you know, if we could all just continue making progress, we'd all be walking around benching like 700 pounds, it's just not going to happen. That's not how it works for a drug-free person, right? It's going to be up and down, and you're going to have to take, oh fuck, is this road closed? Don't tell me it's closed. Shit. It's fucking closed, guys. I'm going to have to take another route. But yeah, anyways, man, the training cycle is going to last about as long as your gaining phase will last. And if you're doing everything properly, if you're dialed in on all fronts, which means that you're dialed in on your nutrition, you're in a caloric surplus, you're sleeping 8 to 9 hours per night, you know, you're not deficient in any sort of micronutrients and all those little things, right? As long as that's dialed in, you should be able to milk your cycle drive gains for a very long time. It should last months before you hit a plateau. And you will hit little stalls on certain exercises, but a lot of people mix up what an actual strength plateau is. A lot of people think a strength plateau is where you plateau on one exercise, but a real strength plateau is where you basically plateau throughout all of your main basic movements. That's a real strength plateau. It's if you plateau on one exercise, it's just a single exercise stall. And in that case, you can either, you know, do a weight reset, which is usually the first thing I do. I like take away 10-15% and I build my way back up. By the time I get back to the previous working set weight, then I usually cross over into new weight territory, or I just drop the exercise and swap it for something different. That similar movement. So I'm getting into some leg press here, and so right before I hopped into this set, I experimented with some light squatting, because you guys know my knees are pretty much messed up, and this leg press pretty much felt like dog shit as well. As you guys can see, those first few reps move really slowly, and then I kind of get in the groove, I kind of get warmed up, but it just does not feel good on my knees. So I just did one set here of leg press of like 20 reps, and I'm really missing squatting, guys. Like I think like without squatting in your routine, it's just not the same, man. It's not the same. a lot of people don't understand, like, it's become a trend to go against exercises like squats and deadlifts, when really, like, you'll struggle to find more productive exercises in the gym, you know? Like, there's a reason especially why the squat has had such a great reputation in the past. Like, the squat has literally the potential to take an unproductive program and make it effective. And in the pre-steroid era of fitness, they literally worshiped the squat as the king of all exercises, and that's when the physiques were best, man. That's when they were a product of sound fitness practices rather than fucking drug abuse. And so, you know, the squat will develop great legs, obviously, but the real reason why it's so effective is because of the growth effect it has throughout the entire body. And the squat will put lots of muscle on you from head to toe. The same thing with deadlifts, right? They create an anabolic effect throughout the entire body, and they're very hard exercises that demand a lot from you. And that's a big reason why not many people do them, but that's what makes them so effective, because the human body responds to very hard work with the secretion of testosterone. Obviously, we can't imitate the unnatural levels of testosterone that steroid users have, but we can temporarily trigger higher levels with exercise. And which exercises create the highest testosterone production? The ones that work the most muscle mass and demand the most from you, which are squats and deadlifts, right? So squats and deadlifts are essentially the growth engines for the body, and without them, it becomes hard to get the rest of the body growing in size and strength. And that's totally been the case for me. Until I started squatting consistently, my physique only minorly improved. And I used to skip out on squats and deadlifts like most young guys do. I was only concerned with my chest and biceps, but I struggled to gain any muscle and strength without them. They're really like the growth engines of the routine. They set the scene for massive results. I'm getting into my working sets on overhead press now. Last workout I got 140 for 2 sets of 8 on my straight sets. Now I'm going up to 145 and I'm going to try and get 6. Damn. Did a little back step there mid-set and still fucking got it, boys. Shit. So maybe my final set of overhead press now. This is the 3rd set. Last workout I got 115 for 12, so I just added 5 pounds, and I'm gonna drop down to around 10 reps with 120. Oh, yeah. All right, now I'm gonna rest and then get into some rows and a couple sets of dips. So yeah. So, you know, that's progress right there. It's not crazy progress. It's not these massive leaps, but it's that little progress. Just adding reps here, you know, adding some weight here and there, striving for that strength progression over time. That's what translates into good physique development. So now I'm hopping into some pen lay rows. This is 190 for 2 sets of 8 to 10. So the last workout I got 185, so I made some good progress here. And the reason why I really love pen lay rows is because of how much they carry over into every other key exercise. So when it comes to squatting, deadlifting, overhead pressing, bench pressing, it has massive carryover into all those lifts. So when it comes to like bench pressing and overhead pressing, having the strong forearms, having the thick upper back really helps you stay tight on those lifts and you know, be in a much stronger position to press. And then when it comes to squatting, you know, any row in general is going to build that upper back thickness, which is going to build that area where you place the bar when you're squatting. And then obviously deadlifting, this is going to have massive carryover because it builds that strength in the posterior chain, the glutes, that isometric position that really carries over well into conventional deadlifts. So when I'm not doing conventional deadlifts in my routine, I really like to prioritize more barbell rows. And then when I am doing conventional deadlifts, I like to do more back assisted rows just to give my lower back a little bit more recovery, because conventional deadlifts fry you, but I cannot recommend this exercise enough. All right, so I'm getting some dips now. I'm gonna hit 2 body weight sets, and yeah, These were feeling pretty good in the last workout, so I'm hoping my sternum still holds up. Oh, fuck. Wow. Oh my God. Shit. Definitely felt a little bit more rough on the sternum than last week, but yeah. Dips are so hit and miss for me, man. So hit or miss. It's a love-hate relationship with them. But yeah. Hopefully the next set will feel better since I'm a little bit warmer now. All right, I'm gonna hit this final set of dips and then probably get into a couple isolation exercises, but I'm fucking pooped at this point, man. I'm gonna finish strong here and then get the fuck out, because yeah, I'm pretty tired at this point. So let's get it. Finish strong, baby. One more, come on, motherfucker. Shit. Fuck me. Wow. Oh. So like that first set of dips felt like dog shit. This felt much better. So it's weird. For some exercises, it's like straight sets across work a bit better, because that first set is not always the strongest set, which is counterintuitive to the fact that, you know, you are starting fresh, right? But sometimes I feel like it takes doing a proper few sets to then, you know, really like for those second and third sets to actually feel strong. It's weird. I can't quite wrap my head around it yet. It's just what I've found with some experience. I have this new section coming out in the Herculean bulking program, because I made this big sort of decision with what I'm aiming to do with the vision of the program. And I know a lot of fitness companies, they make lots of different programs for different goals, right? Like we've got like 5 different muscle building programs because of the different stages of lifting. I'm pretty much working on turning the Herculean bulking program into the ultimate solution for drug-free people, with, you know, normal genetics, lives outside of the gym, to build muscle, build strength, and master their physiques drug-free. So I'm eventually going to have a fat loss program as well, but I'm aiming to kind of set up the program in such a way where no matter what stage of lifting you're at, you can come in, you can hit the program that's more suitable to the level you're at, and then progress to the more, you know, intermediate, advanced training programs, the training routines that are within the program. But I'm adding this new section for beginners, and it's largely based off of what I've seen with my own brother when it comes to programming for noob lifters. And what I've seen is that it's better to train the lifts with a higher frequency. It's better to train your core exercises twice a week. So instead of doing, and that's if you haven't hit my intermediate strength standards yet. That's if you're still, you know, still relatively weak. You have maybe like, and you know, a lot of people have been training a few years and they still haven't hit that. So depending on where you're at, like that first usually 6 to 12 months, you can get to the intermediate strength standards. And before that, there's no real point in training each exercise just once per week because you're not neuromuscularly efficient in the exercises that you're doing yet. You have to become neuromuscularly proficient. You have to master the technique. Neuromuscular efficiency is essentially getting to the point where your central nervous system can activate your muscles and get them to produce force, right? In any given movement, right? So on the bench press, for example, like once you're neuromuscularly efficient, you'll start to feel your chest firing a lot more, whereas noobs have a hard time kind of firing the right muscle fibers in the lifts that they're doing, and they can't recruit as many muscle fibers during their sets as a result, and can't grow as much muscle mass. So it's better to have a slightly higher frequency per lift at the beginning, because your recovery can handle it, quite frankly. You need extra technique practice, and it's going to give you 2 opportunities each week to produce a growth stimulus and to gain strength. So I think that's the best way to program for like people in their first 6 to 12 months of training who are still weak and haven't hit intermediate levels. And then it's better to, like, once you're intermediate advanced, switch over to what I do, which is just hitting each kind of lift once per week, right? With two full body workouts, but with 2 different sets of exercises. Whereas with the beginner workout routine, you would do the same exercises twice per week, and I think that's pretty effective. So I'm gonna get in some curls and some neck curls, and then get the fuck out of here, man. All right, I'm getting to some 40s here, incline curls. Good set. So as I'm hitting this bicep work here, guys, I want to give you a little reminder that if your body is small, it doesn't matter how much bicep work you do, you won't get big biceps or bring up the small areas in your body to a large extent. You have to focus on baking the cake and building the substance, and then worrying about the details later. And the cake is built with the big, heavy compound movements. And even if you were to increase your curl weights by like 50% of what you're currently doing, it would only have a small impact on your physique. But imagine the impact on your physique if you were to increase all your basic movements, your bench press, weighted chin-ups, dips, overhead press, deadlift, squats, all by 50% for reps. You'd gain a lot of muscle throughout your entire body. And imagine if there was the same interest in things like squats, deadlifts, bench presses, overhead presses, dips, chin-ups, rows as there is in biceps training. There would be no shortage of results. So, we include isolation exercises, but do them at the end of your workout after you've given your all to the real exercises. And the body grows as a whole when you're drug free. You can't treat your body like it's a fucking Lego action figure trying to build up your physique using tools of detail. You have to focus on building up that base, the substance, the big muscular structures of your body, because let's face it, guys, proportionate and symmetrical skin and bones don't look very impressive. Too many trainees concern themselves with detail work too soon, and this will actually prevent you from being able to apply the focus, effort, and resources needed to get big in the first place, right? And look at any gym. Look at the biggest efficiency in any gym is plain muscle and strength, and it's no surprise considering the way most people arrange their training, where they walk in there and they fucking start with the concentration curls, start with the leg extensions, all this crap, man. If you want to add 2 inches to your arms, expect to have to pack on fucking 30 pounds onto the scale of weight. And do you think you'll achieve that by doing bicep curls? Of course not. Of course not. You have to get your body growing as one whole unit. You have to build up the big muscular structures of your body, engines of growth, because once again, the body grows as a whole. You can't have big biceps on a small body. So focus on the big muscular structures and get your body growing as one whole unit.